Did you guys do any training over the holiday break?
Heaps. I always train every day anyway, regardless. I maybe had 2 days off from the 20th to the 6th.
This is very topical because I was in Perth and it was hot as fuck in Perth.
Yeah.
And I struggled to train.
Well, I was off for a month. Yeah, over that Christmas break, it was ridiculously hot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, today's topic is sort of summer training in the heat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The ways that we can sort of stay cool but effective in the heat, because you don't want to just stop training. Like a lot of pre-seasons are happening right now. A lot of competitive sports, people are playing in these sort of hot conditions.
You don't have the option not to. You can't just say, "Oh, coach, I'm not going to play today because it's too hot."
Yeah.
You get the towel thrown at you.
Yeah, like the A-League is on now. I'm quickly jumped on the Auckland FC bandwagon.
Oh, of course
It's a
you
new
have.
team, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're doing
that's
okay,
wild.
aren't they?
They're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
They didn't concede a goal for the first few games, and went to a game, and it was pretty hot out there to be playing. Because typically, normal people play soccer in the winter.
I love running in the heat.
You do?
Like doing my interval sprint training in the heat and then by the time you're done, you're dripping in sweat and you're gassed. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
In the gym, less so because it's kind of unhygienic. You're going from equipment, or whether it's the bench press, the rowing machine.
I feel better.
Dripping in sweat. It's a bit
Yeah, but
gross.
I feel like the body's not as stiff. It moves better. It's
It almost aids with the warm up. I feel like
Yeah.
in winter when it's cold, I need to spend more time warming up my legs to prevent injury. In summer, it's like the heat kind of assists with that.
Yeah, look, there's a stack of things that you can do to help mitigate the heat and be prepared for the heat. Sometimes you can't avoid it. I went down to a rugby league game down at Western Sydney over the break, and they were playing in 40-degree heat.
Yeah, wow.
And it was like humid as
Yeah.
well. So yeah, look, what are some of the things you guys do to prepare yourself for a hot outdoor training session, or some of the things rugby league or AFL players can do for their pre-season?
Stay hydrated.
Yeah.
I think that's number one, right?
That has to be
hydration.
Because I sweat a lot. Even when it's cold, I sweat. But when
Yeah.
it's hot, I just
Me too.
pour.
Yeah. And actually, it's a good point, because this came up in that game. There was one of the guys that was playing. He wasn't sweating at all, but he was like showing signs of dehydration. And we'd figured out that he hadn't hydrated himself properly before the game, so his body almost wasn't able to sweat.
Ran out of water.
Yeah. So I think effective, like you can't catch up on hydration. Like you can't be halfway through a game or in halfway through training in this heat and go, oh shit, I better start to hydrate. It's got to be a planned thing, hydration.
Pre-hydration. Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't want to overhydrate as well. So you don't want to go into a training session with a real full belly of water or feeling like you've taken on too much water.
I'd still rather that than too much food, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I've
yeah.
been to training sessions and it's
Yeah.
like, all right, I need to give myself some time just to flush this liquid out.
Well,
Yeah.
pre-hydration is not sculling 2 liters of water before the
No.
game. It's staying hydrated throughout the day
True.
or the night before,
Yeah,
right?
it's the day, even the day before. Yeah,
yeah,
you know
so-
that you're going to be training in the heat the day before. Yeah.
Yeah. And we've obviously done, a full episode on hydration and electrolytes.
So hydration
that's
doesn't mean
definitely
just
one
water,
facet.
right? Because when you're sweating, you are sweating out some of the minerals.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
lots-
starting with electrolytes before training, I've started doing that recently. I find
Yeah.
that really helps.
Yeah.
Salts, salty food as well can help help you be hydrated.
Yeah. So out of the electrolytes, which some you can get from food, obviously you can get from supplements, which is easy. Ours contain all the electrolytes, but sodium, potassium,
Sodium,
key.
potassium are the most important. Chloride, magnesium, calcium also pretty important. There's a lot of those in sweat.
Yeah, 100%. So if you are sweating and you find, you might go home later and you're cramping and things like that, it's probably due to one of those mineral deficiencies.
Yeah.
More than likely magnesium, if that's the case.
An-
But
another thing related to sweat in the heat is also your choice of clothing, which can make a big difference, right?
100%.
Color and like skin protection.
Colour's a
and
big
whatnot.
one.
Yeah.
Like I wear a lot of black clothing, and then when I get out in the sun,
Yeah, do you?
well, not today, but you guys.
All of
are-
our damn Musashi
Yeah.
shirts are black.
yeah. But you get out in the heat, and you're like, shit, I didn't even think about this. You can definitely notice the difference between a white shirt and a black shirt.
Yeah.
So I think being
Particularly if the sun's
prepared,
out.
and I think
Yeah.
certain fabrics breathe, some don't.
If it's hot, you have to wear a singlet.
Yeah.
In my opinion, for me personally, like
As long as you're
anything-
protected from the sun as well.
Yeah.
with your English skin, mate, you'd be like a lobster in
Just
a singlet.
liters of sunscreen. That's fine.
Oh, that stuff's no good for you either.
Also, like moisture wicking clothing, right?
Yeah.
Like dry fit stuff can really help. With your with cooling down and evaporating.
No hat, no play.
That stuff actually works because
Yeah.
it does. It takes the sweat from your body and almost holds it in the garment, and then that's what's keeping you cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
And a lot of guys wear like undershirts, that moisture wicking undershirt under a t-shirt or something. Or
it can definitely make a big difference.
you can get a lot of like I've seen like cricket players a lot as well will wear those cooling. They're like those ice cooling, almost
Towel.
like a scarf or a
Yeah.
towel that you put around your neck. I think remaining hydrated throughout the
Speaking
session.
of that, filling the water bottle with ice so you're drinking cool water throughout. I think it helps.
Yep,
Yeah.
definitely.
I actually read something about the moisture wicking clothes recently, though, that it's not good
Oh, really?
in terms of exposing your body to like microplastics and stuff that are in there.
Shit.
Because while you're exercising with these clothes, you're rubbing against them a lot as well, and it can actually enter your
Like the friction.
it can enter your skin.
So
Interesting.
no rubbing against plastics.
Yeah, but anyway,
Got
if
it.
you have to choose between microplastics and
Dying from heat,
Dying from heat exhaustion.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll take the lesser of two evils.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
like heat acclimation as well. And this came up in that same game, right? There was a couple of New Zealand people that came over for the first time to play in Australia.
and
Obviously
never
used
never
to
felt heat
to
like
cold
that.
weather.
They were lasted probably less than 5 minutes. And they came off the field and they said, we've never experienced anything like
Wow.
that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whereas Australians are more conditioned to the heat, right? And then you go up to Queensland and they're even more conditioned to the
Yeah.
heat, northern Queensland. So I think if you're constantly training and playing in the heat, there is this adaptation or you do get used to it. And look, for people that are operating in colder climates, is there a way to adapt to the heat? Things like sauna, steam room, getting hot more frequently.
True.
Even you see people training like wearing, I don't know, garbage bags or even just jumpers, multiple layers to kind of supplement that heat.
Yeah, you can do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
But I think a lot of them do that for the purpose of like losing that water weight for
Some of them do,
for
yeah.
competition.
But I think, if you are in a colder area and you like have to travel to a hotter area to play, I think acclimation, I think sauna is the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, I agree. Hot baths. As
Hot
well.
baths,
Yeah.
hot
But
shit.
not training in a sauna, just being
Yeah.
in the sauna.
Yeah, when
Yeah,
you're
but-
exposing yourself to something extreme like a sauna or hot bath, it's kind of best to just take it easy and not do
Yeah.
things extreme. Like some people I see them stretching like extreme stretches and stuff.
What about that?
Don't do that in the sauna
Laird
because
Hamilton.
you can actually
Have you heard of Laird Hamilton? He's a big wave surfer in America, right? Older guy. I think he's in his 50s or 60s now. Like top shape. He's in awesome shape. Gets in the sauna, cranks it up to like some ridiculous temperature. He's got his assault bike in there.
shit.
What the fuck?
Hitting the assault bike as he's in the sauna. He has to wear oven mitts because the handles on the assault bike. Get on
Get
Laird
so hot. Yeah, 'cause
Hamilton's
they're model.
Instagram page and
Yeah.
check it out.
That
He's
doesn't-
nuts.
That doesn't look healthy.
Oh, I don't. Well, he's obviously he's been doing it for
Yeah, he's
forever,
built up,
and he's
yeah.
a top level
That's
athlete.
nuts, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, you do get acclimated. You do get better at adapting to those hotter temperatures. I know since I've started doing saunas and stuff, the summers don't feel as hot to me. I'm not as affected, and that's coming from someone that's not great in the heat.
Yeah, I've definitely gotten used to like just being in the sauna.
Yeah.
But there's like a lot of science that supports the idea that training in like intense heat has the same like physiological effect on your body as training at altitude, which I
Yeah.
guess you can also you can also acclimatize yourself to. Like I'll go back to the NBA basketball for a second. Like the Denver Nuggets are known to have an incredible home court record historically because they play
at elevation.
at an elevation that other teams and other players aren't used to.
Well, it's interesting. There's a couple of fight teams out at Denver. Same thing when they fight, they're acclimated to that altitude, and they've generally got better cardio.
Yeah.
But saunas and steam rooms and all that sort of thing can improve. I think there's a recent study out. I'm not going to quote it because I haven't read it in its entirety, but saunas and steam rooms and that heat can actually help your cardiovascular output just by sitting still. Like you're not actually
Really?
doing anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're producing more red blood cells, oxygenating.
It's basically replicating a low intensity cardio workout, right? When you're sitting in there.
I think I saw Dr. Rhonda Patrick talking about it recently. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is replicating that lower intensity.
But
cardio.
altitude and heat are slightly
They're
different,
different, of course,
physiologically, right?
Yeah.
But just gotta put that out there in case people start
yeah.
training in altitude and then gonna run in the desert.
Yeah. What else can people do? I think like this time of year, you want to avoid like middle of the day training. I think the earlier you can get out in the morning, because afternoons here are maybe even hotter than daytime.
Yeah,
The-
time selection, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
They used to have this thing called burn time when I was a kid. Don't go outside at that time.
Yeah. And it's so true. And I think I follow quite a lot of professional athletes online and on social media, and they generally knock out a lot of their like outdoor cardio workouts
In the morning.
early in the morning before it gets too hot and it
Yeah.
gets too humid. So that's another consideration. There's simple things that you can do.
Yeah. What about the physiological effects of heat? Do you know what's happening to you when you're hot?
You melt. What?
Yeah, so, okay, number one,
You
obviously your
melt.
core body temperature increases, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that can actually accelerate fatigue, which is why you kind of feel tired. Then the body starts, cooling itself, which can lead to like the sweat loss that we talked about, because, sweating is your main form of cooling. Another interesting one is, cardiovascular stress, because a lot of blood flow goes to your extremities and your skin to cool you down as well. So that can actually reduce the amount of oxygen that's getting into your muscles. So, it might impact your performance by training in the heat. And then, your heart rate increases to compensate for this, right? So I don't know if you've measured your heart rate when you train in a hot climate versus a cold climate, but generally it's a bit higher.
Not everyone has two whoops, Darren.
No, well, it happens in a sauna. At a certain point,
Yeah.
your body will get to a certain time in that sauna, and then you'll notice your heart rate will start to increase. Boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom. I test my heart rate every time. Like I do 30 minutes in the sauna every day. Generally around that 18 to 20 minute mark, my heart rate starts to skyrocket.
Yeah.
Gets up to, this is sitting still. mind
Yeah,
you.
it
And
actually
I've been-
it goes like accelerates.
Yeah, like fast. And then you're battling for the remainder of the time to keep it at the level. But
Yeah,
mine
I-
goes from resting heart rate up to about 130, 135 beats per minute, just
Wow.
sitting still.
Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah.
So that is a good thing to, that's a good identifier that you might be, on the verge of, heat stroke or something. It's a good thing to monitor.
Yeah.
And it's hard when you're exercising because your heart rate's already up. But
Yeah,
if you're
yeah.
starting to feel, dizzy or nauseous or something, and you sit down for a bit and your heart rate doesn't come back down, good chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last physiological effect, which is also pretty important, is you actually heat forces your body to rely more on carbs, and that actually depletes your glycogen stores faster.
Is that right? So
Yeah.
it's like you're
Car-
burning through your fuel at a higher rate.
But as opposed to what would you be using if you weren't using carbs in that sense?
Well, you'd be using carbs, but you'd be using more carbs, right?
Yeah,
Because you'd
so
be,
it just increases the amount.
yeah,
of
the rate.
the rate. Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
So that means you'd have to replace those.
That's right. So nutrition
carbs.
strategies can obviously help heat training as well. So, have enough carbohydrates and have enough protein to help replenish.
Does that mean that heat just means that you're burning more?
Yeah, well, obviously
burning
there's
more calories.
You know,
you
there's,
need more carbs.
there's physiological things that we just talked about. Your heart rate's going faster. Your blood's
Yeah.
going to your extremities. You're using more energy in
interesting.
these situations,
Yeah,
right?
cool.
It's like a thermogenic effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. It's interesting. I almost would have thought like the opposite. I would have thought that in the cold you're burning more because your body's trying to, you're trying to keep your body warm.
Yeah.
But I think you burn, like that's when you're still and cold and sort of shivering.
Yeah,
When
okay.
it's hard to be cold and training at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Talking about
I get that.
exercising, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
It's kind of, good to exercise when it's cold because
Nice.
yeah.
Well, we've spoken about that previously, that just in general in the summer you'll have less body fat regardless of whether you've changed your nutrition and your training, just because. But that the reason there, isn't it, that you just don't need the extra padding? Like,
I don't know. I'm not sure the science on
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
I think your body does tend to demand more calories when it's colder to maybe store a little bit of body fat.
Yeah.
I know generally in winter I put on an extra couple of kilos.
And also
it's
you-
bro science, but it passes the sniff test.
But also generally your non-exercise activity is much lower in winter than in summer. You're kind of, sitting on the blanket
Inside,
watching
yeah.
Netflix.
Hibernating.
Hibernating, yeah.
True, you're not going to the beach and swimming and whatnot, but that's entirely behavioral. That's not physiological.
Yeah, but your non-exercise activity actually accounts for a lot of your daily calorie expenditure.
You'd think so. Like if you're going and doing like like a significant workout, you're burning, let's say, 1,000 calories, which is a lot.
Yeah.
That's still way more than you would, way less than you'd consume throughout the day.
Yeah,
So unless you're rapidly building size or getting fat.
Well, that's the whole idea behind fat loss, is to build as much muscle as possible so that you're burning more just at rest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't actually burn a lot of calories doing exercise. Like it's the goal is to gear your body up in a way that you're burning through a shitload of calories just to feed the muscle tissue that you have at rest. So
that's interesting. Well, on maybe a slightly different point, but
that's why you don't do cardio if you want to. Like you don't not do cardio, but I wouldn't go to cardio as my go-to source for losing fat. I'd be 100% lifting weights.
I'd be doing both.
That is wild.
It's not wild.
No.
Because the more muscle tissue you have, the more calories you're burning throughout the day just at rest.
And also if you just...
So muscle needs more energy. So the more muscle you have, the more energy you're just going to burn at rest throughout the day, right?
But also, if you just rely on cardio...
Hey, don't worry, it's not debated. It is science.
If you just rely on cardio to lose fat, generally you're going to eat more to compensate.
Yeah, I get that.
But you will eat more to compensate for more extra muscle tissue as well.
Yeah.
But that everyone says that.
But anyway, back to
back to heat.
So, okay, so let's put our strategies together. So before exercise,
make sure you're fully hydrated with electrolytes.
Pre-hydrated. Warm up in a cool environment if you can, like in the shade maybe. You want to gradually get your your body,
build a bit of a tolerance.
Yeah, you don't want to just jump straight into the hot weather going full speed.
I think that's a good point as well. I think that's the going from one extreme to the other is what causes a lot of these symptoms as well.
You can cause illness too.
Yeah. So slowly
Stillness.
integrate
Stillness, ickness.
So there's that hydration. There was
during exercise, hydration,
the
clothing,
the right clothing and cooling down methods. Any ice, towels.
Yep.
Duration, not spending too much time.
Duration,
intensity adjustment during exercise.
Nah, you got to still go as intense. You just got to work all those other factors around.
Go hard or go home.
Go hard or go home. Yeah.
Time of day.
Yeah.
Nutrition.
I've been looking at Whoop. People,
Big Whoop.
So it's got these community pages, right? And you can see, anybody that has a Whoop and who's got the highest score, like in Australia, for example, or like Whoop Yogis is another thing I join. I'm always high up there because yoga is low intensity. But the other day,
Are you trying to show off?
No. The other day in Australia, Angus Crichton was like number 3 on Whoop.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So obviously he's going hard in the preseason training. You can see what activities they're doing and stuff as well.
That's actually, I wish they'd all do that.
Yeah.
You could monitor all of the athletes. I know the...
But what is that based on? Is it based on like just...
on your strain score.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
So your activity, everything. It takes heaps of things.
Yeah.
But it's essentially showing volume and intensity of training.
Yeah.
Monitors your heart rate throughout the day, your blood oxygen
but
levels.
I'm wondering, like, on that, if that was a competition, if that was a ladder, what is the axis of that?
Well, it's not straight heart rate. It's based on a few.
No, but I'm not asking the measure. I'm asking, like, what's it telling you? It's telling this person has exercised the most at an intensity this day.
Yeah, well, different exercises give you different strain scores as well, right?
So strain makes sense.
Yeah. So... yeah, it's pretty cool. Like you can see, like if you scroll down the list, you can see some other famous players and things.
Nice.
Quite a few people are using it.
What's your favorite strain?
Martial arts is the highest. Kickboxing.
Oh, I thought you were going to say indica.
Oh. Yeah. Surprisingly, weightlifting isn't that high on the strain score. I guess your heart rate doesn't really get that high.
No. Martial arts.
Actually, soccer by far is my highest strain score.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I play 2 games of futsal, it's like...
Oh, mine would
But you're only getting like 3 minutes on the field and then you get subbed off. So like, how is that high strain?
Mine would be
like
everybody's on holiday. We got no subs.
Yeah, true. Fire. I reckon that air bike, that assault bike, that stuff, that kills. That
assault bike and the rower.
Bike. Yeah, doing those two.
Yeah.
All right. Next.
I think we've covered it all, haven't we?
Well, post-exercise,
yes.
carbohydrate replenishment.
So after, everyone forgets about after. You know, the session's done.
Yeah, let's go to the pub.
I've cooled down now, but no.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, go to a pub if you're having,
100 cold beers will cool me down.
I suppose
probably not the best thing for rehydration, and
you gotta hydrate. You gotta have some carbs, replenish those. But yeah, to be honest, alcohol in the heat can probably impact your performance quite negatively if you're
Yeah, no shit.
if you're looking to train the day after drinking.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
much worse than in the winter months.
Well,
That'll dehydrate you even more.
Has
Yeah.
such a significant effect on hydration.
What about caffeine in the summer?
Doesn't caffeine dehydrate you as well?
Yeah,
It has
well,
like strong performance benefits for sure.
yeah,
It
but it
gives you
increases your heart
energy.
rate as well, right? So
Yeah.
it's kind of amplifying some of the negatives of heat training. It's thermogenic itself, right?
I'll try and have less caffeine when it's hot.
Yeah, I think you just monitor your levels of caffeine and your tolerance levels. But usually people consuming caffeine with some sort of liquid as well. So any sort of dehydrating effects of the caffeine are
Yeah, well, that's what they say.
offset with the liquids that you're having with it.
The net of having most caffeine drinks is that you're actually hydrating yourself.
Yeah,
Because
caffeine's such
point.
an important performance enhancing ingredient or tool that you can't.
It's
not-
worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
the,
have
the
to.
Net, the net benefit is, of
As long as you're
course.
not cooking yourself.
At
And
the
I
same
guess-
time, like an energy drink in serious hot weather, a cold energy drink. Once I'm done, I don't feel more hydrated from that.
Yeah. Okay, what about the mental effects of heat? Like, sometimes you kind of feel like you're losing a bit of concentration just because it's...
Isn't that dehydration?
It could be dehydration.
That'd be an early sign. It might not be to the point where
But
you're going to get
caffeine-
any other symptoms.
Caffeine will probably help you there, right?
Yeah,
In
true.
the heat.
Yeah, it would.
Like I said,
Yeah.
I fucking love training in heat. I
think
feel so energetic.
a lot of Australians do.
Yeah.
Like we're used to it, and that's when we get outdoors the most, and we're at our most active in summer. So we're sort of
sure.
grown up doing it.
I mean, like proper heat, like 30, 35 degrees to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a BDSM
I like.
relationship
Yeah,
between men sport.
I like the heat as well, but just gotta take it easy sometimes.
Yeah, well, being from New Zealand, mate, you're used to the heat over
What are you
there.
talking about? I'm from
Yeah,
Africa.
exactly.
Oh, yeah. You're from the hottest place on earth. No, I think we've covered and truly covered some things that people can consider before training the heat.
So,
Don't avoid it.
Yeah,
And
a lot of
like gear up
benefits.
for it. Yeah.
Definitely a lot of benefits to training to the heat, but as long as you're well prepared.
Yeah,
So-
there's a lot of watch outs as
Yeah,
well. There's
yeah.
some risks, and there's ways to easily mitigate those risks.
Exactly.
But is it the heat or the humidity that gets you?
the heat.
Yeah, it's
Of course,
both.
it's the heat.
Oh,
Well,
the heat. I actually find it's a lot easier to train in like a dry heat than it is in a humid
yeah,
heat.
Yeah, spot on.
But I think that comes down to I feel like you're gasping for air. It's not
Yeah.
so much the heat; it's I
Really?
can't replenish the oxygen or whatever.
yeah. I just remember like training in Thailand.
Oh, that's
it's
tough.
so hard because
Yeah.
it's just humid.
You feel like you're
it's
training
like raining and you're just
Yeah.
Underwater, yeah.
Yeah, it's
When you
insane.
breathe, you just like can't
Yeah,
get
grim.
because you see, although New Zealand doesn't get that hot temperature wise, like Auckland never goes past 30. It's very humid. So 28 in Auckland almost feels like 40 degrees here.
Yeah, yuck.
Yeah.
So it
That
does get
sounds
hot,
like some
but,
New Zealand science there. Sorry to all. New Zealanders.
30 degrees, sunny and dry. My favorite conditions
Yeah.
for a sprint session outside.
yeah.
A bit of a tan while you're out there.
I'd say a dry 30.
colour.
A
do
dry,
you actually tan?
Yeah.
Do you go like a deep shade of purple or?
Just red.
Red?
Musashi red.
nice. I just go from milk choc to dark chocolate.
And what, you just go transparent, dude?
I'm caramel.
White top.
Yeah.
White chocolate, dark chocolate.
Caramel.
caramel.
On that note.
I wonder.
Oh,
This might be the only topic, except for hydration, because he talks about water a lot. But
Yeah.
does he really? Oh yeah, he does
heat
too,
or
but not as in.
fire.
Well, there's a book of fire, right? So let's have a look.
Yeah, this might be the only topic you actually have a relevant quote.
I doubt it. Here we go.
Okay.
We're just gonna sit here while you find something.
Okay.
The clip for this episode is just us waiting for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Riveting shit.
All right. There's not much relevant stuff here, but
Oh my god.
okay.
What
Through
else is
constant application of your training skills, you'll come to understand the value of a particular technique if you practice with full resolve and use the methods of visualization in your training.
Wow.
You've kind of
Like,
spoken
if you
to,
want to
like,
compete in the heat,
adapting.
train in the heat.
Yeah, I kind of get that. I'll live with it.
All right.
All right, we're out of time.
I'll take that one.
Okay, until next time.
Musashi out.
Musashi out.
Out.